Starting us off at number 10 is the constellation. Ophiuchus itself is a huge constellation that contains a lot of star clusters. It also contains a starburst galaxy inside of it that contains 2 gigantic black holes. Thankfully, these black holes are 3,000 light years away from each other, but in a billion years these holes will merge. The constellation is forming stars at an unusually high rate due to the heat coming out of the black holes. In 2006, another star cluster was discovered inside the constellation, so this thing is a star-making factory on crack. The one worrying aspect though is Bernard 68, a large dark nebula that's located towards the south of the constellation and is 410 light years away from Earth. Bernard 68 is twice as heavy as the Sun and is extremely cold. Of course it's stable right now, but it is gonna collapse, which is just not good for anyone. You know, we have new Zodiac, we also have collapsing nebulas. It's all going tits up really. Coming in at number 9 is the Eagle, and if you're born between January 14th and 28th, then this is you. This zodiac represents a soaring spirit and intellect that other zodiacs just can't match. Back in the day when a Caesar died, they would release a captive eagle into the sky, and that symbolized the emperor's soul, which was now finally free to join the gods above. In terms of personality traits, no one can compete with this sign on a mental level. They think fast, they make decisions fast, and not even impulsively, everything is very calculated. They're intensely passionate, but that's also their downfall. They can get caught up in their feelings and lose themselves. The Eagle's precious stone is a quartz, because I know a lot of people ask this, so I was like, let me just save the trouble, put it in there. Amen coming in clutch. You're welcome. At number 8 we have the Swan, and that is you if you were born between Feb 9th and February 29th. This sign was sacred to the god Apollo, and in old folklore these people were meant to be shapeshifters, humans that turned into swans. Now personality trait wise, these people are passive and think a lot, but are also chameleons. They can play any role they want to in life, and they're also very vengeful towards anyone that thinks they can pin them down. The Swan sign represents the person's transformation and personal growth as a human being as they go through life and find themselves and come into their own. It's a very supportive sign to all other than their haters, obviously, and this sign's precious stone is the moss agate. Filling on number 7 slot is the Charioteer. This sign falls between June 8th and June 16th, so if you're an early summer baby, you could very well be the Charioteer. Now ancient story-wise, the Charioteer was the adopted human son of the goddess of wisdom Athena, or Athene, whichever you prefer saying. He invented the horse-drawn chariot and reigned in Athens, even introducing the use of silver. Mans is smart out here. Personality-wise, this sign is a natural-born leader. Even when things are going fully tits up, they can bring peace and order out of any chaotic situation. These people are really good mediators, and they're understanding friends as well. They enhance and improve any situation they go into, but this elevated sense of self can give them huge egos. But hey, it can't all be good, right? Gotta have some cons. And the precious stone of the Charioteer is the sapphire. I never got the point of precious stones. Like, say I'm a Charioteer and I have a sapphire, like what does that mean? Does that mean if I carry a sapphire around I'll be more in tune with myself? Like what does it mean? Does anybody know? Tell me in the comments below. Now at number 6 is Andromeda, or Andromeda, however you want to say it. That's you if your birthday is between April 2nd and 9th, but also April 19th to May 8th. I don't know why there are 2 time periods associated with this one, but we're just gonna go with it. Now for story time. Andromeda was a princess who was chained as a sacrifice for her country and to appease all of her mother's sins. She was about to get eaten by a sea monster before being saved by Perseus. This sign is the ruler of men. It represents the ancient love goddess, so they are extremely in tune with their emotions and governed by them. They're sensitive and family is everything to them, but at the same time, no one tells them what to do. If they need to cut you off to liberate themselves and do what they want, they will. No cap, straight savage, just cutting all y'all off. Ain't nobody got time for that. The precious stone of Andromeda is the pearl. Coming in at number 5 is Perseus, the hero we mentioned in the previous point. Now if you were born between May 16th and May 31st, you are Perseus. The story goes like this. This glittering airborne hero just came out of nowhere and cut off the Gorgon sea monster's head right before it was about to devour Andromeda. He was conceived by a shower of gold, so I mean this dude is basically Superman. Does he look like Henry Cavill? I don't really know. Probably not. Personality wise, they're extremely witty and curious, meaning they have to know the who, what, when, where, and why behind everything. But when someone is made to be good, that means they have a very strong dark side that's also hard to ignore. It's like the light and dark side of the force. Once you get your instinctive and impulsive side under control, you're a very good person, but sometimes your mind can get the better of you. And no surprise, the precious stone for this one is a diamond. Are we surprised? No, we're not, because you're just so cool, aren't you? You're so good and heroic. No, I'm kidding. I'm just being salty. At number 4 is Orion, and I mean we've all heard of the Orion belt, so this one is more well known than the others. If your birthday is in between June 1st and 7th or June 17th and 27th, then this applies to you. Now Orion is the golden huntsman who possesses that glittering belt of stars. Artemis, the goddess of the crescent moon and the dawn, loved him to bits. The huntsman was so tall that he could walk across the deepest parts of the ocean and still have his head above water. Do you know how deep the deepest part of the ocean is, you guys? 36,200 feet. And this man was taller than that. Like, that should go on his Tinder profile, honestly. He would get all the matches. Everyone's like, oh, I'm 5'11". I'm like, mate, I don't even know what that is in feet and inches, but I don't even want to know. Personality wise, everything is as grand as can be with Orion. You need space and freedom, and no one can hold you down, and you wouldn't let them either. They usually love nature and need to be interacting with it in order to feel happy and fulfilled. Orions hate liars. They don't see the point in not telling the truth, and I agree, like literally, what is the point? The truth always comes out no matter what. They can feel extremely let down by people who beat around the bush and are not straightforward, but they're never down for too long. Faithful and resilient, this sign bounces back stronger than any of the other signs, and this quality of introspection makes them very deep thinkers. Orion has 2 precious stones, the opal and the emerald. Filling our number 3 slot is the ship of the Argonaut, and no, that's not one of the Star Trek movies, although it does sound like it. If your birthday falls between July 8th and 17th or September 22nd and 28th, then you are this sign. Now for the backstory of this one, because with a name like that you definitely need to know what the hell's going on. So this ship carried Jason and the Argonauts whilst they were finding the Golden Fleece. Athena helped them build the ship, so it had a piece of truth-speaking oak inside that always took them the right way. That's so clutch, she essentially just made their journey foolproof. Personality-wise, this sign is probably the most gifted and adventurous of all the ancient signs. Life has always been easy for this sign, which is probably not true, but hey, the ancients said what they said. But their gifted nature is also their fatal flaw. I mean, what do you do when you're good at everything and have too many talents? You can either burn out, have a power trip, or just be overwhelmed with all the options and just do nothing at all. It's really easy for these signs to get caught up thinking about their future dreams, but that also sets them up for failure because they're so easily distracted. They want to do everything so they can abandon path after path, not knowing it's detrimental. This sign's precious stone is the sapphire. Now at number 2 is the sea serpent, and that is you if you were born between August 16th and August 23rd. You can probably tell from the name of it, but this is the longest constellation in the sky. It represents the symbol of Namu, who is a Sumerian great mother goddess who personified the ocean and all the life that came from it. Personality wise, this sign is hard to control. I mean, so is the ocean. They're sensuous and alluring, but also problematic, aren't we all? They have their own code of morals and rules that they live by that may not always be the mainstream ones that are accepted by society. Despite always doing their own thing, they're not judgmental and are very tolerant of everyone around them and their views. But if you meet someone that isn't tolerant of yours, that's an issue. These people live with the saying life is too short in mind always. The precious stone of the sea serpent is the lapis lazuli. And finally, at number 1 is the wise centaur, and if your birthday is between November 20th and December 5th, then this is you. Happy belated birthday, by the way. Now this one obviously comes from the Centaurus constellation, and this is its backstory. Chiron was a wise centaur who taught all the Greek heroes their skills, how to sing, how to shoot, how to tell the truth, and so forth. Apparently he was wounded by an arrow yet managed to heal himself with the herb centauri, which is actually named after him. After he healed himself, he became immortal, so I mean the sign is apparently all good things. These signs are natural born leaders and healers. You can listen to your friends' problems for days on end and will always listen with an open heart. You don't like putting your problems on others and will suffer in silence if you have to, and you do. But because of that, you have the biggest heart of all the signs and harbor great empathy. This sign's precious stone is the alexandrite. Starting us off at number 10 are Libras, born between September 24th and October 23rd, and before any angry, alarmed Libras start commenting below, I need to preface this. There are only 12 zodiacs, you guys. If you're number 10 on the list, that's not a bad thing. That's really not. Now off the bat, Libras look untrustworthy as hell. They're loud as hell, gossipy, they love people and seek attention like nobody's business. These traits just don't scream trust, do they? They really don't. Now if you're lovers, you have nothing to worry about. They're top tier level trustworthy, but if you're friends, that's shaky ground. To get to the top of the social ladder, they have no issue blabbing about what you tell them to others in an attempt to further themselves. But that's very rare. If they're with you, they are really with you. They They are the ride or die sign if there was one. But they're also extremely passionate, they're loyal if you're constantly fostering and nurturing your connection, but if you're not, then why should they even owe you anything? Coming in at number 9 is Nera. So according to Gavin White, Ophiuchus remotely descended from the Babylonian constellation representing Nera, a serpent god. Sometimes depicted as human in the upper half of the body and serpentine in the legs, it was one of the only non-anthropomorphic deities back in the day. Nera or Nera was worshipped by the city of Der, which was located in the north between Elam and Mesopotamia. The Babylonians actually ignored the 13th sign because they had a 12-month calendar and they wanted to make everything fit inside of it. In the 2nd century, Greek astronomer Ptolemy recorded the constellation, noting Ophiuchus is Latin for serpent bearer. Now I know serpents these days are kind of associated with the villainous people, but back then they were associated with doctors and healing images. The Romans linked Ophiuchus with Apollo's son Asclepios, who learned the key to immortality by watching one serpent treat another with these healing herbs. Zeus then found out about what Asclepius knew and killed him with a lightning bolt because he didn't want everyone to become immortal. Eventually though, he honored the hero by giving him a place in the heavens. At number 8 we have personality traits. Of course, I knew you guys would be eager to know the personality traits of the sign, especially if you fall within its time period. So because Ophiuchus falls between Sagittarius and Capricorn, it has elements of both zodiacs. They're extremely passionate, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Passion can lead to success and drive, but also obsession and neuroticism. This sign has a wild temper and can tend to be secretive, jealous, and arrogant. Typically an introvert, they do enjoy social settings, but only when they know they can dominate the scene, otherwise they tend to stay away. Think of them as like power-hungry Capricorns. They can fool anyone and bring them down, so it's best not to get on their bad side, you know? Filling at number 7 slot is Edison Kemper. Like any zodiac, there's gonna be great people that represent it, like Ben Stiller, Taylor Swift, Amanda Seyfried, Vanessa Hudgens, and there's gonna be some pretty bad representations like serial killer Edison Kemper. Born on the 18th of December and the last day of this zodiac, Kemper was a prolific Ophiuchus. At 6'9", the man was a monster who shot and killed both his grandparents at the age of 15. He was released for parole on his 21st birthday despite psychiatrists recommending the opposite. Edmund started living with his biological mother and tried becoming a police officer but was rejected. By 1972 he started picking up female hitchhikers and then taking them to isolated locations and then killing them. He would then transport their bodies back to his house where he would decapitate them, have sex with them, and do other explicit things to the head. In the next 11 months, he kills 8 people, including his own mother and her best friend. By May of 1973, he was indicted on 8 counts of first-degree murder. He asked for the death penalty and requested death by torture, just to give you an idea of what this person was like. Not a good look for Ophiuchus. Okay guys, can we just take a moment just to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that's how hard this zodiac is to pronounce? Like, give me a break! Sorry, I just had to get that out there. Now at number 6 is the opposite sign. Every zodiac sign has an opposite sign, if you will, which translates to the sign that you are least compatible with. For example, the opposite sign of Leo is Aquarius. We are polar opposites on the zodiac wheel, but ironically enough, Ophiuchus doesn't have an opposite sign. Because they don't have an opposite sign, they can't experience the growth that comes from polarity. In hardcore astrology, when a moving planet opposes your natal planet, that means it's time to grow. When you face your polar opposite zodiac, there's meant to be this push and pull effect where they're meant to pull you out of your comfort zone and push you to achieve new goals. So sucks to suck, new zodiac. It's not happening for you. Coming in at number 5 is Pablo Escobar. Born on the 1st of December, the infamous Ophiuchus, Colombian drug lord and narco-terrorist, is probably a household name everywhere. He founded the Medellin cartel and was the richest criminal in history before his death. He was worth $30 billion at the time, which is equivalent to around $59 billion now. He was so rich he once burned cash and continued throwing it into the fireplace so his kids could stay warm. So I mean, you can't tell me he wasn't a good dad. He was also the king of Escobar, and before holding that title, he was involved in a lot of criminal activity, working for multiple drug smugglers. He would kidnap people and hold them for ransom for his bosses before employing those same tactics himself when he became a drug lord. Rival cartels in the area led to a lot of massacres where civilians died. He was involved in bombing the DAS building and Avianca Flight 203, and he just killed a ton of people overall. Despite all that though, he was thought of kind of like a Robin Hood sort of character that was loved by the impoverished locals of Medellin, since he always gave back to them, but I mean, still a murdering crook overall. At number 4, a scientific discovery. So NASA had a Stardust mission that captured multiple interstellar dust samples that came from the direction of Ophiuchus's constellation. In August of 2017, NASA scientists were analyzing the dust and found methyl isocyanates near the young triple star system IRAS 162932422, which is in the constellation. Methyl isocyanide is a huge building block of life here on Earth and is used abundantly in producing adhesives and rubbers. However, it's extremely toxic to humans, so there's that. And 5 years prior to that, space sugar was also found in Ophiuchus, aka glycolaldehyde. I hope I said that right, I'm not a chemist. And either way, it's key in the formation of RNA. It's the second most used compound when making biofuel or bio-oil, so something that could really help us move towards sustainable energy sources for good. Filling at number 3 slot is Joseph Stalin. Another bad representation of the Zodiac is Joseph Stalin, who was born on its cusp the 18th of December. The man needs no introduction whatsoever. He was the dictator and ruler of the Soviet Union from the mid-20s till his death in 1953. Was he a nice man? I'ma say no. Stalin enforced socialism in one country and had the 5-year plans in which he wanted industrialization, collectivized agriculture, and a centralized economy. Socialism is honestly a lovely idea, it's just extremely hard to execute. Stalin's plans caused a horrible famine in which millions of people died. Enemies of the working class were people in the population that were against the ruling subgroup and therefore against the whole of society apparently. To get rid of those people, Stalin started the Great Purge, during which he imprisoned and killed 700,000 to 1 million people. Yeah, it's not great, mate. Now at number 2 is crime. Now according to FBI statistics, people born in the Ophiuchus period are insane. Sagittarians are crazy and so are Capricorns, so it's only fitting that Ophiuchus are too. The sign has qualities that make it an incredible leader, but if harnessed wrong, it can lead them to becoming people that are mass crime committers. Capricorns have been behind a lot of mass murders. They are a dangerous sign, so imagine mixing two of the most dangerous signs in the zodiac to create the Goliath that is the 13th sign. This sign is hard to pin down and can be very sinister and unforgiving if need be, but they're also careless like a Capricorn, so not only do they commit crime, they also get caught. And finally, at number 1 is displacement. For some people, the zodiac they are defines them. Some people identify with all the traits of their sign so accurately, it is them. It's their personality, it's how they conduct themselves, it's everything. Sometimes they even use their zodiac as a justification for the bad things they do. Have you ever heard someone justify being an because they're a Gemini, for example? I like Geminis, relax, it's just an example. Anyway, with astrology being such a huge thing for so many people, the emergence of Ophiuchus displaces a lot of Sagittarians and some Capricorns, which is huge. I don't even know what I'd do if I wasn't a Leo. I know sometimes astrology can be bullshit, but if you go past just the one astrology page in all those magazines and actually research your birth chart, it's very eye-opening. I feel like personality trait-wise, I'm very much a Leo and I'm proud of that. So I'd be pissed as hell as a Sagittarius or Capricorn to suddenly be told, no, you're an Ophiuchus and we don't know what element it is or its solidified traits. Sorry. Like, thanks a lot, mate. If Mercury wasn't in retrograde before, it definitely is now. Starting us off at number 10 is Ophiuchus. So according to NASA and the ancients, this is the official 13th zodiac sign. And if you were born between November 29th and December 17th, this is you. Now NASA looked at Babylonian texts, did the maths, and introduced the sign in 2011. And for clarification, people born in that period beforehand were either Scorpios or Sagittarians. Now more about the sign. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, and since it's in between Scorpio and Sagittarius, it possesses traits from both signs. They're magnetic to look at and talk to, they're passionate and extremely jealous people. This sign is meant to be wise, humorous, and a natural born leader. So I feel like honestly they don't have many cons, they're all pros. Of course I'd never want to be an Ophiuchus over a Leo, but hey, that's just the Leo and me talking. Coming in at number 9 is Scorpio, born between October 24th and November 22nd. Happy belated birthday to all the Scorpios out there, by the way. Hope you guys had a blast. Now I will proceed to insult you. So Scorpios are harsh. They're not always the most approachable sign, but they're softies on the inside. They form incredibly deep attachments to the people they love to the point they'd suffer on their behalf. Scorpios are actually one of the most loyal signs of the whole list, but that doesn't come easily. The list of people they would do that for limits itself to like 1 1 or 2 people max. So I mean, if you're not in that, if you're just regular friends, then definitely do not trust them, because honestly they probably don't care about what you're telling them and will tell other people and not even think twice about it. At number 8 we have Virgos, and if you are one, that means you were born between August 24th and September 23rd. Now Virgos are honestly the mum and dad of the zodiac, so the biggest warriors ever. It's like their full-time job. A Virgo will genuinely always come through for you. They're the ones making sure everyone around them is okay. Now they're a great ally, but it comes with a catch. They have to be invested, they have to be interested, or your aims have to at least line up. Otherwise they don't give a flying damn about you, honey, and then they will sell you to Satan for one corn chip. No cap. No cap at all. So that's really the only downfall with Virgos, that and they're kind of flaky. So I mean, we are seeing red flags pop up, so I mean, can you really trust them? Can you? Can you not? How do you truly know if they're invested in you? Who knows? Our set manager Chris is a Virgo, and he was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Filling on our 7th slot is Aries, which means your birthday falls between March 21st and April 19th. Honestly, I just have such a love-hate relationship with Arians. Like, I love them, but they're just not good for me, and I always just fall in love with them, and I'm just always on my shit. Like, I can't. Anyway, excuse my mini breakdown. This sign is extremely calculated. They're always internally calculating what's right, what's wrong, and they're very quick to A, do what's right for them in the moment, and B, change their decision midway if they realize it's an even more beneficial option. It's a very fiery, passionate sign, but they're not as warm as the others. They're too logical to be with you or be friends with you unless you're adding value to their lives. It's not like they're untrustworthy, but they just don't factor in emotions in trust, whereas others would. Arians are mind first, heart second, and based off my ex, I 100% agree with that. I'm not salty though. Not at all. But they will do what's best. Like, once I started smoking shisha a lot during a certain period of time, and I told my ex about it, and I was like, it's fine, I'll stop. And then he staged an intervention with my sisters. And I mean, I really did feel semi-betrayed, because he was meant to be my homie, but it was also for my own good, so we stan. We definitely stan. But did I get over it? No, I didn't. Did I smoke shisha less? Yeah, I did. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some. Now at number 6 is Taurus. The stubborn bull falls between April 20th to May 20th, and this breaks my heart because they're not really as untrustworthy as they seem, I swear. Now Tauruses really are a double-edged sword. They would do anything for the people they're close to, but then again, most people would. Their dark side is the real issue here. Tauruses are extremely stubborn and will never do anything they disagree with. And I feel like a lot of personal things you share with your closest friends can be problematic. They can be bad choices you made, sometimes the immoral choices that you made that you don't want other people to know. You need a non-judgmental ear to listen to all that, and a Taurus ain't it. Just not it. A lot of the times they make mindless choices that aren't in anyone's best interest, so you're like, how reliable and trustworthy are you? Like, are you a ride or die or nah? They really are good friends and good lovers, they're just not the trustworthy one on the team. Like, let's not delegate tasks to the Taurus. Let's just not. Coming in at number 5 is Aquarius. You guys may not have made the first cut of most dangerous zodiacs, but you did make it into this one, so we moving on up, Aquarians. Born between January 21st and Feb 18th, Aquarians are all about productivity. If we think about them economically, they're very good at all the macro stuff, you know, like big ideas and stuff like that, but they suck at the micro. They're just not good at focusing and attending to small details, and on top of that, they have huge egos, and that gets in the way of them being trustworthy or loyal. Aquarians put their walls up high so the exchange of trust isn't mutual. You're out here telling them all your darkest secrets, and they're out here like, not telling you anything. And if they do let you in though, and you mess that up, they owe you nothing. No loyalty, nothing is sacred, you guys. Nothing at all. So let's just put it this way. You can trust an Aquarian at work, like fully 100%, but outside of work, you may want to think twice. At number 4 are Leos. That means you were born between July 23rd and August 23rd, hashtag me, hashtag gang gang, hashtag Leo or die. No bias though, not at all. I'm actually very sad we're so far up on the list because I like to think I'm pretty trustworthy, so like, where are the Leos out there that are ruining it for the rest of us? Nah, I'm just kidding. Now the thing with this sign is that you can actually trust and rely on them. They know how to keep secrets, but they will always choose themselves and their family over you, and if that means having to betray you, they will do it. And I do agree with this, like I would definitely do that, and whenever anyone tells me anything and tells me not to tell anyone, I still always tell my sisters because hello, they don't count. You're telling me, you're telling them. Sorry. As we know, Leos love attention, and although they get it naturally, at times they don't. They may stoop low to get it. AKA they could throw you under the bursts, for laughs, or to make themselves look better. I met so many Leos like this, so I know it's true, and I jokingly diss my friends all the time, but that's more like messing around, not malicious, but I mean, tomato tomato, right? Either way, sleep with one eye open. I once met a girl at a party who like said she didn't like me after I told her I was a Leo, and I was like, well, that's rude. I don't like you either. I don't even know you. Filling our number 3 slot is Gemini. Born between May 21st and June 20th, the twin sign may have two faces after all. As you can well imagine, Geminis are polarized about a lot of things and they're very complicated. These people are social chameleons and jump headfirst into friendships and relationships, becoming obsessed almost, and then just as quickly jumping out of them. Geminis are known to have mood swings and they're forever changing their minds, so it's really hard for them to commit to their word and keep anything a secret. Their emotions rule them, so say you piss them off or wrong them, they have no issue outing any sensitive information you told them, because I mean, hello, they're angry. Now don't get me wrong, they're really great friends and lovers, but they just don't always follow through on their own word, so how the hell are they meant to follow through on yours? I mean, makes sense, doesn't it? Can't fault them for that. They like variety, they like choice, and they don't mind lying to get it. Be wary. You don't like a liar. Now at number 2 is Sagittarius. Born between November 23rd and December 22nd, Sagittarians are savage and also known as the least loyal of all the signs. Oh, these hoes really ain't loyal. It's a good thing I never dated one. Haha, got you there. But honestly, I'm not even mad at it. This sign is dubbed untrustworthy and disloyal because they're unreliable. Not in regards to themselves, but to other people. They prioritize themselves first, they love the newness of things, they love to explore places and people, and they're hungry for it. They're hungry for change and they're so captivated by their own wants and beliefs that you as a friend or lover are just kind of a second thought. They have the stop and nothing mentality, so they literally have no issue outing you or stepping on you or anything to get ahead. Sagittarians are synonymous with freedom, and that means cheating a lot of the time. It means looking for the next best thing. Now don't get me wrong, in terms of family, this sign is 100% trustworthy, but make no mistake, they won't even second guess cutting you out of their lives. Doesn't matter if you're their dad or their sister or their kid, they will do it. They're a selfish sign, and you can't trust a selfish sign with your heart or words because they'll never treat it with as much care as their own. And that's the tea. And finally, at number 1 is Pisces, and if you are a Pisces, that means you're born between February 19th and March 20th. And honestly, Pisces was unanimously voted as the least trustworthy sign on every single site I went on for research for this video. I know this may come as a surprise since Pisceans are probably one of the most loved signs out of the 12, but they are also a mess. They're like all over the place, let's be real. They are completely driven by their creative and artistic goals, which means they're not always the most logically minded, and so their brains are always thinking about a billion things at once. Hence, things sometimes just slip out. Not intentionally or maliciously, but it just happens. Like, happens. It's the same thing. Pisceans just tell people your deepest, darkest secrets and then write an interpretive poem afterwards about the cost of friendship. Like, thank you. You could just also not say anything to anyone and save us the poem. In terms of relationships too, you can't really trust them to stick around because when things get a little bit tough, they are just gone. They've already traveled to Italy to find themselves creatively again, and while you're still crying over the breakup, they're already on to their next muse. Gotta hate them, gotta love them, but also watch what you say around them. Don't trust them with your heart or words, people. Let's not make that mistake.